Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and in this series we're going to be going over Mars in the signs, okay? And in this episode we're going to be talking about Mars in Gemini, so having Mars and Gemini in your birth natal chart, okay? And before we get into that, if you enjoy my readings, if you enjoy my videos, book a reading with me, okay? I do astral birth natal chart readings very much in depth, as well as a bonus tarot. All you have to do is email me at samastralreadings@gmail.com. That's samastralreadings@gmail.com. They're very affordable, and we could definitely go forward with that, okay? So getting back into Mars in the signs, and specifically Mars in Gemini. Now, before we also get into that, I just want to make a disclaimer that some astrologers combine Mars in the signs and Mars and planets in the signs and planets in the houses. And what I mean, like, if I were to do a video like Mars in Libra, a lot of astrologers would combine that with Mars in the 7th house because apparently they'll mean the same thing. And I'm here to say that planets in houses and planets in signs can definitely overlap, mean the same thing, but there is a distinct difference, and planets in the signs is more personal. It's more about who you are, your personality, who you are, what you're showing up with, whereas planets in the houses is more about where this energy is showing up in your reality, in your life, in which sector of life, okay, this is happening. So in short, planets in the signs is going to sound more personal, more who you are, whereas planets in the houses is going to sound a little bit more distant. It's more about where these energies are showing up in your reality. And another fun fact is, as you get to the outer planets like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, when you're talking about what sign it's in, you're going to get an understanding of your generational personality. So the personality that represents your collective, what generation you're from. And the first thing I can say about Mars and Gemini is these people definitely have a smart mouth, okay? Mars deals with intensity, it deals with your adrenaline, it deals with your anger. Okay, and a lot of times with Mars and Gemini, if they don't have it anywhere in their chart, you're not going to know them as a talker per se. Maybe if they have other air placements, but this talking energy, which is Gemini, the communicator, is going to come out because it's in Mars. It's going to come out in a time when your adrenaline is up. So it could deal with anger, it could deal with even sex, it could deal with an emergency. But whenever you're dealing with that high adrenaline energy, which is Mars, and it rules your adrenaline, you know, your temperament, that's when the Gemini comes out, okay? And it's going to be a lot of talking, okay? So Mars and Gemini people have smart mouths, I like to say, because they can definitely argue. Because you are tapping into your Gemini in this Mars energy, this is a time of intensity. So this is intense talking, this is disputes, this is arguments, this is getting an attitude with someone, this is even verbally cursing somebody out, okay? This is a lot of war and tension when it comes to communication. So Mars and Gemini people definitely get into a lot of verbal disputes, and they use their mouth as a sword, as a way to attack people, as a way to fight, okay? So you fight with your words, okay? So when you're fighting with your words, I mean, I like to say, like, you're very smart mouth, like you like to diss people out, you like to quote unquote read people, you like to argue with people, okay? It's definitely verbal warfare when you're talking about Mars and Gemini, and these people definitely use their words to attack people, and that's when the energy comes out. So anytime a Mars and Gemini is angry, definitely expect a smart mouth. Definitely expect a person who uses their words to attack you, to fight, to defend themselves in those type of moments. So definitely a smart mouth, harsh mouth. And because Gemini is so smart and so slick, okay, it rules the mind and communication, you know, you are a person that I probably wouldn't want to get into an argument with, because you are so quick with the mouth. You can really diss someone, you can really read someone, you can really manipulate an argument with that Mars Gemini energy, and it's really quick and fast. So these people are very slick. Like, you know, you're gonna want to be an air person, have a lot of air in your chart too, to keep up with their mouth, because once you get them started, you get them angry, you get into an argument with them, they're gonna go off on the mouth, and they're gonna be very quick, not only angry but also very quick and witty. So if you don't have a smart mouth yourself, you're definitely going to have trouble dealing with these Mars and Gemini people, because they really can flip up your words, trick up your words, and really use like the right verbal, it's like a creative way, basically, in my opinion, a very intelligent way of attacking somebody. So very slick, very smart mouth. So be mindful of that. Also, with Mars and Gemini, there's a very strong nervous energy, okay? Gemini definitely deals with the nervous system. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. It's very much about the nerves. It's very much about thoughts and thinking about multiple things and a lot of things going on at the same time. So there's a very jittery, nervous side to Gemini naturally, okay? Because they have so much going on in their mind. There's so much going on with them. They're thinking about so many things that it does give them the jitters. They're it's a very curious sign and energy. So they're very aware of everything, and they're picking up a lot of information. So there's a lot of mental movement, but that makes you nervous. It makes you jittery because so much going on in your mind. But when you put this in Mars, Mars enhances this energy. Mars is the adrenaline. Mars is that extra boost on top of Gemini's fast energy. So I like to say that Mars and Gemini is a very nervous system. Like, when these people get anxious, when their adrenaline starts running, they could shake a lot, because at one point they could be very slick with the mouth. Another side to this is just a lot of adrenaline, a lot of nerves running, and Mars kind of pushing this already nervous system into overload or overmode. So it's like there's just so much nervous energy, so much explosion and adrenaline going on at the same time. So there could be lots of explosions, like Mars and Gemini. Like, of course, this can affect your nervous system. Okay, so be careful, with Mars and Gemini, with your nervous system and your nerves, and getting too nervous, getting too anxious. Okay, because like I said, Gemini is already a nervous energy. It already deals with the nervous system. There's already so many thoughts and things going around, so much stimuli. But when you put it, and that's because Gemini is very extroverted, it likes to pick up lots of information and do multiple things at the same time. But when you put Mars here, Mars is just another boost on top of already that fast energy. And Mars deals with adrenaline, intensity, anger. So this can make you super, super nervous, super pent up. These people can really explode, or these people can have like a nervous breakdown with Mars and Gemini. You could just have a overall nervous breakdown, too many things going on, maybe too many responsibilities, too much information you're picking up, too many things going at you at the same time. It's like your nervous system can really suffer from this. So be careful of those. This can lead to a lot of explosions as well too. When you get really angry, this can cause a nervous breakdown and a very nervous reaction. So be careful with your nerves, because they can really erupt and escalate when you tap into that Mars. Mars and Gemini is also a placement where you'll naturally attract a lot of verbal arguments in your life. And this doesn't always have to be a bad thing. I think Mars and Gemini people can really love arguing and disputing. So, at one side, it could be a nervous breakdown. But in another side of it, it could just be fun. Like Mars and Gemini could really enjoy getting into arguments with people, disputing with people, because it pumps up their adrenaline, it gets them excited, it gets that Mars going. So it's almost like they're exercising, their Mars Gemini energy when they tap into arguments. So a lot of times Mars and Gemini people are arguing because it's fun, are arguing because it's very stimulating, or arguing because they like the verbal competition. So definitely another thing to know about Mars and Gemini is they could definitely enjoy these arguments, and they can definitely get into disputes just because it's fun, just because it's exciting, it gets their blood pumping. Also with Mars and Gemini, Mars deals with your sexuality, and when it comes to Gemini, Gemini is very mental. Okay, so Mars and Gemini people, their sexuality is aroused mentally. Okay, so it's about the conversations, what you say, what you're speaking into, the thoughts, the ideas, the sexual ideas. Okay, so Unlike Mars and Aries and even Mars and Taurus, the sexuality is way more physical, okay? Fire, earth energy, they're way more physical. They're way more about the body, they're way more about the movement. But with Mars and Gemini here, it's airy, okay? So Mars and Gemini is very mental, okay? So it's not necessarily about, they're not necessarily big on just sex, just for the physical stimulation of it, like Mars and Taurus or Mars and Aries, you know, where they're just trying to get off or they're just enjoying the physical pleasures. Mars and Gemini is actually more about the ideas, okay? So these are people who can talk a lot during sex and, you know, in sexual activities. They can talk a lot, communicate a lot. They can do a lot of foreplay in terms of, like, you know, phone sex maybe, or talking about what they're gonna do or what they're interested in doing. There is a lot of mental play, mental stimulation when it comes to their sexuality. It's a lot more mental, it's more airy. It's not so much about the physical, okay? So the physical alone isn't gonna stimulate these people. They need a mental interaction, maybe a verbal sex talk before, or maybe speaking through the whole process, you know, communicating through the whole process of sex that can really turn them on. So definitely a very communicative mental approach to their sexuality. Also with Mars and Gemini, these people are also very versatile when it comes to sex. So we're talking about different positions, different trying new things, you know, being in different, you know, categories. Whether you're on the submissive side, you could be submissive and then flip and be very dominant, you know, and go back and forth. You know, Gemini is very versatile. It rules, you know, the twins, which is like the double side thing. But really what Gemini is Gemini is able to see both ends of a spectrum. Okay, that's what makes them so intelligent. Okay, they understand both ends of a spectrum. So it's the same thing with their sexuality. They can be on both ends. They can be very dominant, they can be very submissive. They're not going to have one specific role or one way of doing things, which makes them exciting sexually, because not only are they mentally stimulating, but they also are physically. They can move at many different positions and be many different things. Okay, be many different plays, where it be again submissive or dominant, different positions, different you know, approaches. You know, they're very versatile, and they don't have one specific way of, you know, being sexual. Whereas like Mars and Taurus or Mars and Aries, they could be very like doing it in their own way. Mars and Gemini is going to want to do different things, going to want to be different ways, be a different person every single time. It's part of that mental stimulation. So very versatile when it comes to their sexual performance. You know, Gemini rules your everyday mundane life. So you could just have a lot of these arguments in your everyday life, going to work, you know, getting out from school, going home, like just all the time dealing with disputes. So try not to let arguments with people around you, try not to have that happen so often, because it's Gemini and it's such a local thing and it's so much in reach. You kind of want to, you know, have a peaceful surrounding. Also with Mars and Gemini, Gemini actually rules the hands, okay, and Mars deals with our physicality. So, you know, Mars and Gemini people can be really talented with just their hands. You know, this could be a good placement for like anything dealing with hand coordination, like playing the piano. This could be a really good thing for Mars and Gemini people. Maybe sports that deals with a lot of hand coordination, like tennis or baseball, because again, you know, Mars deals with adrenaline. So this is when you're moving and getting active, and then you're doing with Gemini, which deals with the hands. So sports that deal with a lot of hand coordination could be really good with Gemini. You know, playing the piano, anything that deals with like the hands, typing, those could be things that you're really good at, and that you pick up easily. And you can also just be overall like body flexible. You know, Mars deals with your body, it rules your physical body. And being that it's in Gemini, this can make you like flexible or double jointed. You know how versatile Gemini is, how flexible it is. So you put that in Mars, which is the body. This can literally manifest into being double jointed, being very flexible, okay, having a lot of flexibility. This can also mean being very coordinated. So Mars and Gemini can be good for dancing, okay? Because Gemini deals with the details of your body, being able to isolate, your body, body isolations, body coordination, not just the hands, but just the whole body in general. So Gemini is very smart. It's very particular. It can isolate the body. It's Mercury. It rules the mind. So basically, Mars in Gemini is body smart, okay? It's basically Mars, which rules the body, and Gemini, which rules intellect. So you're very intellectual when it comes to your body. You're very body smart, and this can lead to physical advantages, like, again, being very flexible, being very double jointed, being very coordinated, being able to isolate your body. So this is a good placement for dance, for anything physical that asks for details of your body and coordination, and body movement. Okay, so dance is a really good thing to get into as well too. With Mars and Gemini, it's not going to be like Mars and Aries. Mars and Aries is like a very powerful, strong body. Like, you're very strong, you're very athletic, you have a lot of strength, you have a lot of endurance, you have a lot of energy. Mars and Gemini is not necessarily going to be a lot of energy. This is an Aries, it's not a fiery sign, it's an air sign. So it's not about the energy. It's not necessarily that you're going to be very powerful and strong, but you're going to be very coordinated, okay? You're going to be very coordinated. You're going to be very flexible with your body. So body smart versus Mars and Aries, which is more like body strength and power. So definitely be mindful of that, because you can get into a lot, like get into gymnastics, get into those types of things, because again, like the flexibility, the coordination is amazing here. Also, Mars and Gemini can make a very fast person too. So maybe even a fast runner, or just a very quick way in coordinating your body. And this is because, again, Gemini is very quick. So it's quick with moving the body. Might not be as powerful and as strong, but very quick with how they move the body. And then Mars gives it that extra adrenaline and energy. Well, yes, that is Mars and Gemini. Very fun placement, okay? These people love to argue, okay? And if you get into argument with them, you better be prepared, okay? Because they're going to be very sassy, very smart, very slick, okay, with the mouth. And be careful, Mars and Gemini people, to not get so overly stimulated with your nervous systems. That is definitely something to definitely be aware of. You want to take some time to relax. If you tap into your adrenaline and it's overwhelming you, try to relax, but this placement is very, very, very blessed. It's a very smart body placement. Again, it doesn't have the power and the strength like Mars and Aries, but it's definitely very flexible, very smart, and very coordinated. So there's a lot of gifts you can tap into in athletics and anything physical, just because you have Mars and Gemini. It makes you very body smart, okay, with the coordination. So yes, that is Mars and Gemini. Very interesting placement, very fun. I hope you guys enjoyed that, and if you did, you definitely could book a reading with me, okay, at samastroreadings@gmail.com. That's samastroreadings@gmail.com. All you have to do is email me, and we could go forward with that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll be back with you with another Mars video. See you guys next time, and thanks for watching.